Good morning and a happy Tuesday. Good to be back after a small break. Welcome to today's episode of Morning Wealth. Three things that we will talk about: Fed's new capital standards, airlines and hotel stocks move higher, and Softbank's results, what to expect. The Dow climbed, extending its winning streak to 7 sessions as investors assess the chance of fresh federal stimulus spending and the slowing pace of the new infections. The blue chip index was up about 1.3%, buoyed by shares of Boeing and Caterpillar. The S&P 500 added 0.3% and is within 1% of its February record. The Nasdaq on the meanwhile dropped 0.4%, dragged lower by shares of the big technology giants that have pushed the stock market higher since late March. Crude oil gained. The dollar touched a 1-week high. Gold was lower and Asian equity futures are in the green. Investors are attempting to gauge whether steps taken by President Trump over the weekend to offer aid to American households will go into effect or potentially spur a new round of congressional deal making. Mr. Trump on Saturday directed the federal government to provide $300 a week in additional payments to the unemployed. That was one of the 4 executive orders aimed at extending relief spending after the White House and lawmakers on either side of the aisle in Congress failed to reach an agreement on a broader stimulus package. The president's directives are facing criticism for not offering sufficient aid, and potentially breaching congressional spending authority. Stephen Mnuchin told CNBC that Democrats' insistence of almost $1 trillion for aid to state and local governments is quote-unquote absurd, but maintain some kind of deal is possible. Lawmakers returned home last week for the August recess with plans to return only if the agreement is reached. In the meantime, the US also reported its lowest number of new coronavirus cases in nearly a week, as new infections in some parts of the country trended down. Economists pointed to the slowing new cases as a signal that moderate measures might be possible to contain the virus without again crimping economic activity severely. The Fed laid out its capital standards, and Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley and several foreign lenders operating in the US will face the stiffest demands. The levels determined by the central bank's most recent stress test give Goldman the highest target among domestic banks, with an overall minimum capital requirement to 13.7% of risk-weighted assets. Morgan Stanley is second with a target of 13.4%. Among foreign-based lenders, Deutsche Bank is the highest at 12.3%. The standards take effect on the 1st of October. We have heard a lot of press from the US on the TikTok deal. So this report from SCMP, which is your South China Morning Post, was interesting. TikTok's discussions with both Microsoft and Twitter may not produce a deal, is what the SCMP has reported, because of price issues. The probability of Microsoft buying the company is no higher than 20%, they say. And also the initial amount offered is low, that is with Microsoft. And on Twitter, the chances are even smaller as the company doesn't have enough money. Airlines and hotels gained on glimmers of an improvement in travel demand. Airline shares rallied as the TSA numbers hit pandemic highs. Marriott said it sees signs of demand returning, with 91% of worldwide hotels now open, and that 60% occupancy rates in China are leading the recovery. Analysts earlier had highlighted resilient 2021 booking demand for cruises at Royal Caribbean, shares of which have also jumped despite posting a worse than expected loss. In other cruising news, Carnival delayed its restart dates in Germany, which is set for the month of September. Softbank is poised for a comeback. Just 3 months after reporting record losses, consensus is for operating income to surpass $1 billion. The Vision Fund is likely to post a profit after a $17.7 billion loss in May on tumbling valuations of its portfolio companies. On the FX side, This new trading week kicked off with fresh gains for equities, but a rally in stocks failed to translate into strength for currencies. The dollar yen traded about 106.20 at the start of the New York session, but rejected 106 by the end of the day. Everyone should watch for headlines out of Washington, but in the meantime, US retail sales, Germany's ZEW survey, UK and Australian labour market numbers, UK's GDP is also there, and you have the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's monetary policy announcement will be the main focus for Forex traders this week. That's the update. Stay safe and healthy, everyone.